How many? How many? How many? How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, what did I get up to?
Hello, everyone, and welcome to a new episode of How Many, the only podcast on the internet that counts. The highly rated podcast, thanks to the podcast Potato Lady, who gave us a glowing review. We go around the circle. We have Scott, Bob, Junior, and Gary. I am Jesse, and today we are closing the book on 2020. And we are discussing celebrity deaths. We have set a new record. Usually we do 2 episodes of death. And is this our 3rd or 4th episode, Junior?
This is our 3rd. There was so many people that passed away of significance this past year. Obviously, probably some of it was due to COVID. The Reaper was extremely active this year. So we have a lot of names to try and get through.
All right, let's do it.
We are going to be looking at the deaths that occurred between October and December of 2020. And I have a list of 55 names for us to take a look at. In addition to that, I also compiled a list of about 10 names that we could debate on which one was the biggest death of the year.
Good. I was hoping you were going to do that.
So, of those 55, let's go ahead and get some guesses going. You know what, Gary? I see you are shaking your head, and it's probably because you're expecting me to pick last, like I always do. So this time, I am going to pick first. So that way it'll give somebody else the opportunity to take the over on whatever the highest number of guesses is. So of the 55, I am going to say we are going to count 35 of them. So, Jesse, what's your guess?
I'm going to go 40.
All right. Gary?
Say 36.
36. Bob?
I will go 39.
And Scott?
I will go 41.
41 would be the over on everybody else. So you're in a good position, Scott. All right. Starting in October, Bob Gibson, Major League Baseball Hall of Famer, a Cy Young Award winner, played for the Cardinals, World Series champion multiple times.
A chant Bob Gibson heard time and again when he took the mound, throwing his way into baseball history. With 56 shutouts, 3,117 strikeouts, and 3,884 innings pitched. He was also a 2-time Cy Young Award winner. Gibson died at the age of 84 in Omaha, Nebraska after a fight with pancreatic cancer. Some would say that Gibson's passing came on the 52nd anniversary of his greatest game of all time, 17 strikeouts in Game 1 of the 1968 World Series.
Even me, the non-sports guy, immediately knew that name. Yes.
All right, so Jesse, you're yes. Scott, you have never heard of Bob Gibson.
I've never heard of Bob Gibson.
My God.
It shocks you? It shocks you?
He's the reason they lowered the mounds.
Really?
It was either 68 or 69.
Nice.
He had a 1.12 ERA for the whole season.
He was so dominant that they had to make it more difficult for him to pitch, basically.
Yes.
So you're a no, Scott, just because you haven't heard of him. But
Right.
Bob, Gary, I assume you both are yeses, right?
I'm also a big fan of his guitars. So yes.
Gibson guitars. All right, so we will count Mr. Gibson. Now, this one may be a little obscure. How about Clark Middleton, an actor? He was on Twin Peaks. I think Bob will know him. He's the short person from Twin Peaks.
He's not the main short person you're thinking of. Not the one who danced around. In the more recent series that came out a couple years ago, the one that was on Showtime, he was married to Sherilyn Fenn, old version of her.
He was an amazing character in The Blacklist. He did social work and was always trying to mess with Reddington. Big yes. He was really good in that.
Okay, so Jesse, you're a yes. Bob, do you want to say yes to him since you know him?
I gotta say his body of work comes up just a little short.
Gary?
It's a no. I actually looked at him and I recognized him after I saw him. He's got some pretty impressive credits, but it's so tough for people that are bit character actors to make this list.
He's no Mickey Abbott.
So I'm going to say no too. So Jesse, do you want to use an exemption considering you like his work on The Blacklist?
No, it's too early to use an exemption.
All right, so we will say no to Mr. Middleton. How about Margaret Nolan? She was an English actress. The reason I put her on this list is because she was in Goldfinger and she was the person on the movie poster painted in gold. Scott, I immediately thought of you when I looked at this person because I know you're huge into Bond, you're huge into Bond girls. So I thought maybe you might want to use an exemption because I think everybody's probably going to be a no on this one.
No, I will not use an exemption on her. She was hot. She broke a couple of standards there, being painted in gold and all that, but no.
Pretty cool accomplishment, but I would not vote her in.
All right, so no's all around.
Being a gold member and a bad defensive coordinator aren't going to cut it.
Next up, and this is another one that I put in here specifically for Scott because I know he's big into reggae. Bunny Lee, Jamaican reggae producer. Apparently, he was big in the reggae scene, and I know you are all reggae all the time. Have you heard of Bunny Lee?
Yes, I have heard of Bunny Lee, and I considered putting him on my list, but then I kind of just went back and started thinking, okay, I just remembered the name. I don't remember anything in particular. So I said no.
Wow. So if Scott is a no on a reggae guy, then it's pretty much guaranteed.
Yeah, I agree.
Nobody else is going to vote for him.
Bunny, Carlos, or GTFO.
Let's hop on to our next selection.
How about Johnny Nash, American singer-songwriter?
I can
I Can See Clearly Now.
The rain
Yes.
is gone.
I Can See Clearly Now.
Yes.
He also did Tears on My Pillow.
He is a yes for me.
Scott is a yes. Jesse?
Boy, that's a pretty big song. The name I did not recognize right away, but we haven't said enough yeses, so I'm saying yes.
All right, Bob?
Yeah, I'm going to go yes, man. That was a massive song.
All right, well, that's 3.
And
Way
he's
before
also
my time, and I
Houston's
don't
own.
like
He's a
it.
Texas guy.
We'll say yes to Mr. Nash. Now, this one is the first ballot, and it will be in the running for the biggest death of the year. Eddie Van Halen.
The rock and roll world took a hit today as it said goodbye to one of the most influential guitarists of the 20th century. TMZ reported that Eddie Van Halen, of his righteously successful namesake band, lost his years-long battle with throat cancer. He was just 65 years old. Eddie and Alex founded their eponymous band in Pasadena, California, with bassist Michael Anthony and singer David Lee Roth in 1972. The band released more than 10 albums, many of which enjoyed multi-platinum success.
My whole life has been music. I could not imagine anything else.
Well,
Automatic,
really?
right?
What did he? Oh, no, absolutely. Yes. And also, Van Halen, right, was in our discussion during Bands of Our Lives. So I thought of that when I heard he passed. And he got to sleep with Valerie Bertinelli.
Nice.
How about Whitey Ford, Hall of Fame baseball player for the Yankees, Cy Young Award
Unfortunate
winner,
name.
World Series champion.
I have heard of him.
Wow, so you have heard of Whitey Ford, but not Bob Gibson.
Here's where I know about Whitey Ford. Several years ago, I was playing Trivial Pursuit. I said who I thought Whitey Ford was, and what I meant was Whitey Whitney. So I confused the baseball player for the kid on Leave It to Beaver.
So because Scott has actually heard of a baseball player, should that be an automatic yes?
He's a huge player, huge name. He was on the Yankee dynasty. He was their big pitcher. And he was played by Anthony Michael Hall in the 61 movie.
Really?
Gary,
Very nice.
that's got to be extra points for you.
It is. That and the fact that Whitey Ford sings the blues.
All right, so are we saying yes to Whitey Ford?
Absolutely.
Staying with baseball, how about Joe Morgan?
Joe Leonard Morgan, born September 19th, 1943 in Bonham, Texas, overcame the odds his whole career. From 1972 to 77, Morgan averaged 113 runs, 21 homers, 84 RBIs, 118 walks, and 59 stolen bases a year. He won 5 straight Gold Glove awards from 1973 to 77 and was named the National League's MVP in both 1975 and 76, leading the Reds to World Series titles both seasons. Joe Morgan was elected to the Hall of Fame in 1990.
Scott, have you heard of him?
I have heard of Joe Morgan. He's the guy that wears that hat and he's foot up on a keg, right?
That's Captain Morgan.
I wasn't connecting it yet. Well done. Well
I
done.
got it right before he said it.
Yeah, Joe Morgan, I think,
Yeah,
is,
Joe
is
Morgan.
another.
The Big Red Machine.
We will say yes to Mr. Morgan. How about Conchata Farrell, actress? She was the chubby lady from 2.5 Men.
Well, I'm thankful I can sit here and listen to you rich people whine while my family's scrabbling for a corn dog at the Pomona Fairground.
Yeah, she's been in a ton of stuff.
Yeah, she was also in Edward Scissorhands. She was in Network, but that's probably her biggest role.
And
vote
Jesse,
no.
isn't there a casino in Louisiana named after her as well?
All right, so
I would
Bob,
say yes.
Bob, you're a yes.
No
Gary,
exemption though.
It's a no. I mean, look, she's really funny on 2.5 Men, but I probably have only seen 10 episodes of that show.
yeah, I would say no too. Scott, did you have any feeling either way?
No.
All right, then we will say no to Conchita. How about Fred Dean, Hall of Fame NFL player, played for the Chargers, played for the 49ers. He was a great defensive end, right?
He went to Louisiana Tech.
Lots of sacks.
He's very accomplished. I would be a yes.
Yep.
Even though he played for the 49er.
Ooh, I'm the crazy prospector, and I love the 49er.
He's a yes.
I did not recognize the name, but once I look at the stats, I'm going to go yes.
If you guys say that he was that big on his stats, then I'll give it to you.
All right, then we will say yes to Mr. Dean. How about Johnny Bush? Country singer, wrote Whiskey River.
Whiskey River,
Whiskey
take
River, take my
mine.
mind.
Whiskey River,
Whiskey
take
River, take
mine.
my mind.
Now, he didn't sing it. Willie sang it.
That's a great song. No, I
Is
would.
that it?
That's all I have him down for. I mean, I'm sure he did other stuff. So, are we saying no?
No.
Yeah, I'm going to say no.
No.
I bet you Millerman's going to be upset about that one. All right. How about Tony Lewis, bassist, singer, songwriter for The Outfield? What's their big hit, Bob? Josie's on a vacation for a week. I'm gonna talk it over. I don't want to lose your love tonight. Josie's on a vacation for a week. I'm gonna talk it over. I don't want to lose your love tonight.
Point of clarification, Junior.
Yes.
Are there people you put on this list that you know will not pass, but Bob will know the song so that we can
Sometimes,
add our
but
karaoke?
I think this guy's big enough, right?
Gordo would
That's a
definitely have
huge
him on the
hit.
list.
I think the Musers, since they love The Outfield, they would definitely say yes.
I'm going to vote no.
I mean, if Johnny Bush didn't get in for Whiskey River, I don't see how this passes.
Wow. Bob?
No.
Scott?
No, I think I have one album by them, and I'm not even sure I've ever opened it.
It's still no plastic?
Yeah, I'm going to go with a no on that.
That's disappointing. How
I
about...
don't want to lose your pulse tonight.
How about Jerry Jeff Walker, singer-songwriter?
Yes.
He
Oh,
wrote
yes,
Mr.
yes.
Bojangles.
Yeah.
Bob,
Yes.
what does he sing again?
I knew a man,
Well, there's several.
Bojangles,
There's several here.
and he stands for you.
Worn
Worn out
shoes.
shoes. I knew a man,
Well, there's several.
Bojangles,
There's several
and
here.
he stands for you. Worn out shoes. When he died, I cannot remember the guy's name, but he told a great story that he was out drinking with Jerry Jeff, and it's the middle of the night, and they're walking home from the bar, and a guy is out in the middle of the night, and he's playing Mr. Bojangles. He looks and he goes, "It's not my story to tell." So he doesn't say anything, and Jerry Jeff listens all the way through the song and says, "That's pretty good," and gave him every dollar he had in his pocket to the street musician. But yes,
Right.
absolutely. Mr. Bojangles alone would get him in, but then when you think about all the other things he did,
All right, so yeses all around for Mr. Walker.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
First ballot.
Here comes another country musician. How about Billy Joe Shaver?
Yes. He wrote a butt ton of hits, and he's one of those guys that in the industry, country artists they would bow down to Billy Joe Shaver.
The other thing that's really weird about him is in real life, he was best friends with Norm Macdonald.
Bob, is he
Yes.
the guy that you guys talked about
Yes.
on plausible deniability,
Yes.
and then the next day he died?
So this is kind of a sequel because we discussed that Billy Joe Shaver was also from Corsicana, and as it just so happened, we may have inadvertently killed him because he died like either the day after or a couple days after we recorded that episode.
Texas music icon and outlaw country trailblazer Billy Joe Shaver died from a stroke in Waco this morning.
I don't want to claim that we killed him. I don't take responsibility for that. But yes, that part is true that we did have that discussion and then he did pass away.
I mean, it was very similar to the Dunham and Miller, Clarence Clemens situation.
That's very
But-
true.
Yeah, because he's from Corsicana, and that's where Millerman's from, and his dad was a DJ. So his dad knew Billy Joe Shaver really well.
So you Clarence Clemensed him, basically.
Yes, we absolutely Clarence Clemens did.
Bastards.
so Willie Nelson called Shaver the greatest living songwriter. I kind of get the feeling like he's like John Prine among
Well,
the
they're
people
both
that
dead.
know, yes. But the people who
Right.
know really spoke highly of him. So I'm going to vote yes.
All right, so yeses all around, I assume. How about Herb Adderley, Hall of Famer, played for the Packers, played for the Cowboys.
I'm sure did.
You ever play
Bob.
for the
Sure
Packers?
did, Bob.
Damn sure did, Bob.
Damn sure did.
Did he play for the Packers? Yeah, he played for the Packers. Damn sure did, Bob.
So he's a first ballot, right?
Yes, he's in.
Yeah.
Any
Former
former
Cowboy
Cowboy that's a Hall of Famer, that's pretty much an automatic. The last giant death for October, and this is also going to be in the running for biggest death. How about Sir Sean Connery, Scottish actor?
Bond. James Bond.
Cary Grant, David Niven, many great actors were considered, but when the producers met Sean Connery, they knew they'd found James Bond. As the suave but ruthless 007, he spent the 60s saving the world and dealing with power-crazed evil geniuses. The 80s saw a revival of his box office power. He won an Oscar for The Untouchables.
Want to get Capone? Here's how you get him. He pulls a knife, you pull a gun. He sends one of yours to the hospital, you send one of his to the morgue. That's the Chicago way.
Indiana Jones, The Hunt for Red October, he was a true Hollywood star.
Dr. No, Untouchables, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade, won an Oscar. Best known for his appearances on Celebrity Jeopardy.
Mr. Connery, why don't you pick? I'll take the rapists for 200. That's therapists.
Yes, Sean Connery. And yes, he is in the discussion.
We named the dog Indiana.
Like Indiana.
We named the dog Indiana.
All right, so Sean Connery, first ballot. So that concludes October. Let's hear the honorable mention.
Okay, honorable mention, Spencer Davis.
Of the Spencer Davis Blues Explosion?
There you go. Yeah, there you go.
True. Give me some lovin'.
Although he didn't sing that.
No,
that
he
was
wasn't the lead singer.
Steve Winwood sang it.
Spencer Davis was guitar player.
He was like the Jay Giles of England.
He also wrote "I'm a Man."
Yeah, Chicago had a big hit with that too.
Keep on running.
Yes, I am, man. I can't really tell you so.
Keep on running.
Yes, I am, man. I can't really tell you so.
I say Spencer Davis goes in.
For the karaoke's alone, I'm going to say yes. Gary's a no.
Yeah,
I think we have three. Bob, would you have said yes anyway?
Yeah, I say yes.
The other one I've got, this one's going to be a dark horse. Named Brian Locking, the guitarist of the rock band, the surf rock band called The Shadows.
Cliff Richard or Get the F Out.
He was huge in Britain before the Beatles were. His big hits were Apache, which is one of those songs that if you hear Apache,
do 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 do. Apache, jump on it, jump on it. Do 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 do. Apache, jump on it, jump on it. That song's greatness. So he did that song?
No.
Dang it.
So Brian Lockney, you said, right?
Locking.
Brian Locking. All right. It doesn't sound like you're getting support.
You know, I was taking a shot.
We will now move into November. Carol Arthur, American actress, Blazing Saddles, and she was married to Dom DeLuise. Is that enough to get her in?
I don't know her.
I saw the picture. I don't think so.
All right, so no's all around. All right, how about Abby Dalton, actress, Falcon Crest? Are you anybody familiar with Abby Dalton?
I remember her bookstores.
I remember her from Falcon Crest. She's kind of a character actor, so I don't think we'll get a lot of support. But yes, absolutely, I remember her.
I can't picture who Abby Dalton is.
All right, then we will say no to Mrs. Dalton. How about Nikki McKibben, singer-songwriter? She was on the first season of American Idol. She finished third.
Not a chance.
Yeah.
Kelly or Justin or GTFO?
This one's going to count, if only for the ticket character alone. How about Billy Tubbs? Vote for me, Chuck.
This song is dedicated to Chuck. Kurt Thomas was a chicken, Chuck. And I'm dressed as Santa Claus, Chuck. Wayman Tisdale is good, almost as good as me, Chuck, and that big nymph in the sky, Chuck.
What?
I'm going to solo now, Chuck. I love you, Chuck.
The sad thing is the only reason I know him is because of Ticket Schtick.
It seems like maybe he's going to get a local exemption because if we didn't live here, he's a resounding no. But I think we're about to put him in.
We can't say no to him. Not
Just
after
because
the
the
fake.
ticket.
He's local legend.
All right,
Best
so
ticket character ever.
he is the best ticket character of all time, Bob?
No.
My favorite.
I think Grego's best.
All right.
All right, so we will say yes to Mr. Tubbs. How about Ken Hensley, English singer-songwriter, Uriah Heep, Blackfoot?
I've got like 4 albums by Blackfoot, and I don't know him on any of those.
I saw that the band seemed familiar, but I've never heard of Mr. Hensley.
I say no.
Who he is.
I liked him on the Jeffersons.
Not Sherman Hemsley. All right, so we will say no to Mr. Hensley. How about Ken Spears, co-creator of Scooby-Doo, Captain Caveman, and Jabberjaw? He was working with Joe Ruby, and Ruby Spears was the production company. Is that enough to get him in? Big cartoons.
Scooby-Doo was probably one of the greatest animated stars to ever be created. That show's been on since 64, 63?
69.
69?
Nice.
Nice. Jabberjaw was so bad, and Captain Caveman was even worse.
Oh, I love
Captain Caveman is greatness.
What's wrong with Jabberjaw? It's curly as a shark.
It's a shark curly.
I don't get no respect.
I was a huge Captain Caveman P1. I love that show.
Yep.
Captain Caveman!
Captain Caveman!
I did not recognize the name, but when you tell me what he did, I would vote yes.
Yeah, that's a yes.
Yeah, I'm a yes too.
Okay.
I think he's getting in.
Hanna-Barbera or GTFO?
How about Bones Hillman, New Zealand bassist for Midnight Oil? Now, Midnight Oil, they have one big hit. How does that one go, Bob?
How do you sleep when the beds are burning? Time has come to say fast. How do you sleep when the beds are burning? Time has come to say fast. He is like a 7-foot bald dude. That was just
You sound like the lead singer from the B-52s. Dude, give me a little Love Shack.
Love Shack, baby. Love Shack, baby.
I say no.
So I would have said yes because I like that song. It was a one-hit wonder, but it was a big hit.
One's not enough.
So are we no's all around?
Yeah, I'm a no.
I mean, he was just a bass player.
Yeah, we never vote yes to bass players.
What did
Apologies to Hambone.
So if he was cremated, were they burning the midnight oil?
All right, so we will say no to Bones. How about Howie Meeker, Canadian Hall of Fame hockey
Boneless
player,
chicken.
Toronto Maple Leafs?
You remember him from the Muppets?
No, not Beaker.
Yeah,
Since I'm not a big hockey guy, I was not familiar. Any of you guys familiar with Mr. Meeker?
No.
He's never been referenced on Letterkenny, so he can't be that famous.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
I think this is going to be a first ballot. How about Alex Trebek?
He is one of the most enduring and recognizable figures on television. Night after night, Alex Trebek tested contestants and viewers to answer tough trivia questions in that unusual way.
Nancy. Who is Larry David? Right.
For the man who had all the answers, Trebek admitted he learned a lot about life in his final days.
Make the most of today, stop worrying about the future, and try to be aware of when you leave this earth that you've made a difference in the lives of other people.
Speaking of Sean Connery earlier, that's not what your mom said last night, Trebek.
Well, that's the sound your mother made last night.
He wouldn't win, but he should be in the list of top deaths.
He is. Yeah, his run on Jeopardy, legendary. Next up, we have Tommy Heinsohn, NBA Hall of Famer, coach, broadcaster. He's all Celticsed up.
Like in the 70s especially, he was like the color guy. He was like Nelly before Nelly was Nelly.
Even when he was on the court, he seemed pretty out of shape, right? Like,
yes. Bill Russell said he would have been a dominant if he wasn't so fat all the time.
Is that enough to get him in, though?
Oh, yeah, I'm definitely yes.
Gary?
Yeah, I'll say yes. I mean, Bob's openly discriminating against fat people. But...
As a fellow fat guy, I should vote yes, though I didn't know who he was.
All right, so we will say yes to Mr. Heinsohn. Now, this is a football one. How about Paul Hornung? Hall of Fame.
Paul in what?
Super Bowl champion, Heisman Trophy winner.
Former Notre Dame great.
His nickname was always.
I have heard of Paul.
Always Horning.
Yeah,
They make beer commercials.
The best thing about it, it tastes great. No, Horning, it's less filling.
Yes, and back in the day, that dude pulled down quite a bit of
hair.
What's the stuff that they put around the edge of like a door frame?
Okay.
He was quite the ladies' man back in the day. He was the original sports gambling scandal. He was Pete Rose before Pete Rose was Pete Rose.
Was he throwing games?
Well, no, not throwing games, but he got
He
booted
was
out
a
of the league.
gambling son of a gun.
Yeah, he got booted out of the league for a year, I think, for gambling.
So he predated Shoeless Joe Jackson?
Okay, not the original.
All right, so we will say yes to Mr. Horny. How about Hal Ketchum, country singer-songwriter? Man, a lot of country singers passed away this year.
Every time I see this name, I think, God, the guy invented Dennis the Menace? Absolutely he's in. But that's not who he is.
Small Town Saturday Night, I guess, was his big hit.
I did not recognize any of the songs.
I would not put him on the list.
I actually am not familiar with that song. But Millerman is a big fan of his. He will demand Hal Ketchum.
You want to use your exemption on behalf of Millerman?
Nah.
He can have a whole segment about him on plausible deniability, but he's not going to make our list. Next up, how about Diego Maradona, the hand of God?
Diego Maradona might have been a flawed genius, but his was a truly exceptional talent. Both sides of his character, the brilliance and the controversial, displayed in that quarter-final against England in Mexico. England fans will never forget or forgive the moment he used his fist to beat Peter Shilton for the game's first goal. The hand of God, Maradona later called it. But no one could argue with the skill that produced his second in that game. Probably one of the best World Cup goals ever. But he'll be remembered for many things, good and bad. Many believe Pelé and Maradona were the best of all time. After surgery for a bleed on the brain, he was thought to be recovering before cardiac arrest ended a remarkable life.
Huge, right? He's going to be in the discussion later as well.
I did not recognize the name, but
really,
I know I just had never heard of it, and I kind of feel like, oh boy, I just missed this. This is like
He was kind of the Michael Jordan of soccer.
Him and Pele are
that, and the fact that the legal troubles, the cocaine, all of that stuff were so high profile that it transcended sports. It was on the regular news. If you can imagine Jordan at his height, just losing it with cocaine and everything else, everything just go to pieces on him.
He was the biggest athlete ever in Argentina until Ginobili.
Oh, he's still bigger.
Yeah, I think he's bigger than Ginobili.
So I'm going to vote yes.
Is that how Ginobili learned how to flop? By watching Maradona?
If there's a single, probably.
Yeah, so we're going to have to say yes to Mr. Maradona, I think. So last for November that I have, how about David Prowse, Mr. Darth Vader himself?
Yes.
Star Wars, Clockwork Orange. He was also in a movie called Jabberwocky. Is that the curly shark?
That's a Monty Python movie.
I'm a yes on him. Is everybody a yes on Darth Vader?
Yeah.
I am a no, and I'll tell you why.
It shocks you. It shocks you.
Because not only was he not the voice of Darth Vader, he wasn't the guy when they took the mask off. So he's like third tier.
But he was in the suit.
He's a glorified stuntman.
Okay, so and if that was all he had ever done, I'd be with you, but it's not.
He was a weightlifter too.
An accomplished weightlifter, yeah.
It's iconic. I mean, you know that guy's name because of this. So
That's true. Yeah, I think we have to say yes on him.
I have one that I do not think will make it, but I got to bring it up. Norm Crosby.
Oh, yeah.
Who I was going to bring up.
Yeah, Norm Crosby.
Norm Crosby.
He was huge. He was in all those beer commercials back in the 70s.
Give me an Anheuser-Busch Natural Light.
Just say natural.
You see, you doesn't have to call it Anheuser-Busch Natural Light, and you doesn't have to call it Anheuser Natural, and you doesn't have to call it Busch Natural. Just say natural.
Justin's right.
Oh, you can call me Ray, or you can call me Jay, or you can
For
call
a great tasting light beer, just say natural.
But you doesn't have to call me Johnson.
Yeah, you would recognize him if you saw him.
I remember him. He'd be on the beer commercials. He'd be on the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson.
The Dean Martin
Hollywood
roast.
Squares.
He has a star on Hollywood Walk of Fame, and according to Wikipedia, which we know is never wrong, he played the judge in 8 Crazy Nights.
Okay, you don't have to twist my arm. I'm willing to give him a yes. Okay. Everybody else is in agreement?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. All right, we will put Mr. Crosby in. Let's move into December, last month of the year. We're starting with a couple of food-related ones. The first one is Bill Palmer, American restaurateur and the co-founder of Applebee's. Is that enough to get him in?
No, founding Applebee's is reason to be not allowed.
What about the $1 margaritas?
Applebee's is terrible.
I don't hate Applebee's. So Chili's or GTFO?
I'm closing 5 minutes. I got reservations at Chili's. I'm meeting my boys.
You have a reservation at Chili's?
Mm-hmm.
That's actually smart. I mean, it gets busy on Wednesday night.
I like Applebee's, so I would have said yes, but...
I mean, I've been kicked out of an Applebee's, but...
Applebee's has rats!
I found a whole rat in my Cobb salad.
All right, so we will say no to Mr. Palmer. Poor Applebee's guy.
I liked him better in his 80s music videos with the girls in black dresses and the red lipstick.
No, not Robert Palmer.
I'm addicted to fries. Addicted to fries.
We have another restaurateur here. How about Frank Carney? He is the co-founder of
Carney
Pizza
Asada?
Hut. No, he is the co-founder of Pizza Hut. Now, do you like Pizza Hut more than you like Applebee's?
Yeah.
Pizza Hut's better
Yeah,
than
but
Applebee's.
I just don't know.
But I'm not going to give it to him.
Yeah.
Restaurant guys are just not big enough.
Did he also invent circus people? Carnival people?
All right, so we will say no to the inventor of the stuffed crust. Now, this one is a little obscure, but if I have to use an exemption, I will. How about Hugh Keys Byrne, English Australian actor, but we would know him better as Immortan Joe from Mad Max Fury Road. Did you guys see Mad Max Fury Road? Immortan Joe, the guy with the mask on his face, the guy that had the wives.
The only person out of that movie that's getting in is the guy with the guitar.
No, Immortan Joe was greatness, especially when one of his wives gets run over. And he's, oh no!
All right. Oh no!
One of the three girls that they're trying to escape with is
Elvis's granddaughter.
Yeah, that's what it
Lisa
was.
Marie's daughter.
So
She's hot,
I am
and she's in other
voting
stuff.
yes for a very convoluted reason.
Because he was in Farscape?
Exactly. And that was the first podcast I ever did on a regular basis, was discussing Farscape.
The Gary Larson comic strip?
Not the Far Side.
Yeah,
Farscape.
Farscape. The Muppet science fiction show out of Australia. Yes, I will vote for him.
And I will vote yes, just because he has Shake, Laugh, and Mad Max. Bob?
No.
Scott?
I'm saying no.
Gary? You're the tiebreaker.
No.
Gary's a no.
No.
Oh no!
You know what? I'm going to save my exemption for later. So we're going to say no to Immortan Joe. How about David Lander, actor, Laverne Shirley, Who Framed Roger Rabbit, Squiggy?
Come on,
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, hello.
Hello.
He's a first ballot, right?
Yes, absolutely.
How about, and this one may be more of a local, Fred Akers, former Texas Longhorns coach. He was also the coach of Wyoming and Purdue. Is that enough to get him in?
See, I would vote yes just because the local ties. UT is awful tough on their coaches.
So Jesse, you're a yes. Bob?
Close, but no.
Scott?
I had him as a yes for his UT tie.
Gary?
And I knew his name.
I'm really on the fence about this. I'll say yes.
All right, you know what? I'm going to say yes too. I'm going to give it to Mr. Akers. Next up, I think this one's going to be a first ballot. How about Chuck Yeager?
And he does it. The first human to crack the sound barrier.
Breaking the sound barrier wasn't Yeager's only brush with speed. He broke Mach 2, twice the speed of sound, in 1953, and his sonic booms would set the standard for pushing the limits of flight. Yeager later played a key role in developing U.S. space exploration, training nearly half of the astronauts who served in the Gemini, Mercury, and Apollo programs. Those milestones would later be memorialized in a book and film, The Right Stuff.
Hall of Fame pilot, first person to exceed the speed of sound.
He had the right stuff.
Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. The right stuff. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 oh. The right stuff.
He was a tough son of a bitch.
So we say yay to Yeager.
Yay to Yeager. All right, so we will say yes to Mr. Yeager. How about Ray Perkins, former football player and coach? He used to coach the Giants and the Bucks.
Yeah.
Are you familiar with Mr. Perkins?
Him coaching the Giants.
Familiar? No.
He was the poor man's Dan Reeves.
Yeah, I say no.
All right, so we will say no to Mr. Perkins. How about Jason Slater, another bassist? He was the bassist for Third Eye Blind, Snake River Conspiracy, and Brougham.
Is Third Eye Blind the band that does doot 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 doot?
I want something else to get me through this semi-charmed kind of death.
Doot 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 doot.
I want something else to get me through this semi-charmed kind of death.
And aren't they the ones that do the one about the guy Bud Dwyering off the building too?
Why don't
That's
you
their
step
best
off
song.
from that ledge, my friend? Why don't you step off from that ledge, my friend? They have 2, right? At least 2, maybe 3.
Yeah.
Not enough.
Not enough to get him in. All right, so we will say no. Now, this one, again, we may need to use an exemption. How about Tommy Lister Jr., Debo from Friday?
Oh, here come Debo. Give me your stuff.
What's up, Smoke?
No.
What you got on my drink?
No.
What you got, Craig?
I'm broke as a joke.
Y'all some high rollers, and y'all broke.
In addition to being Debo, he was also in the great wrestling movie with Hulk Hogan, No Holds Barred, where he was Zeus. That's where I first remember him from.
Wasn't one of his eyes jacked up real bad?
Yeah, he did have a crooked eye.
Yeah, he had a funny eye, but nobody ever asked him about it, so nobody knows. Maybe when Ice Cube hit him with that brick in the face.
You got knocked the out, man.
So I would say yes. Debo is a pretty big
yes.
pop culture figure. Bob?
He's recognizable.
I'm a big Devo fan.
Yes, I will vote yes.
There's a wide receiver in the NFL named Debo because of him.
How about, I think this is another no-brainer, and Millerman would kill us if we said no. How about Charlie Pride?
When you talk about Charlie Pride, you have to use the word groundbreaker. He was the first black member of the Country Music Hall of Fame and the first black person to host the Country Music Association Awards. His career spanned more than 5 decades, topped by his mega hit, Kiss an Angel Good Morning, which spent 5 weeks at #1 on the country charts and crossed into pop success. In all, Pride had 20 #1 songs, releasing dozens of albums and selling some 25 million records.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, big
Definitely got to count.
Is the biggest reason he's getting in because he sang the Dallas Cowboys song? Dallas Cowboys. Dallas Cowboys. We are the Cowboys. That's a big yes all around, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, if you did not get to hear, Tom Grieve was on The Ticket, and they had a segment about his friendship with Charlie Pride, and it was a really good segment. It sounds like Charlie Pride loved baseball.
He used to play baseball, right?
Yeah,
he used to work out with the Rangers every year.
Every year spring training, yeah.
Yeah, and was very competitive. Great musician, great local Texan.
And now he gets to kiss an angel every morning.
Angel, good morning, and love her like the devil when you get back home. Angel, good morning, and love her like the devil when you get back home.
We will say yes to Mr. Charlie Pride. How about Anne Reinking, American choreographer and actress? She was in Chicago, Fosse, all that jazz. She was an Annie. Tony winner.
All Broadwayed up.
Yeah, I remember her in all that jazz because she was the one singing to the guy that was on his deathbed, right?
She was girlfriend of, Fosse,
right?
and absolutely, really, really well known.
Is Fosse the dancer?
Yeah.
Yeah, Bob Fosse.
You know the only reason I know that? The Birdcage.
Yeah.
Robin Williams.
Yeah, that's it.
Fosse.
You do an eclectic celebration of the dance. You do Fosse. You do Martha Graham, or Twyla, or Michael Kidd, or Madonna.
All right, so we will say yes to Fosse's girlfriend, Anne Reinking. How about Jeremy Bullock, actor? He was in Star Wars. He was the person that was inside. Speaking of people being inside suits, he was Boba Fett.
Yep.
So, I know I'm going to sound like a hypocrite, but I immediately knew David Prowse. I had to look up and say this. So I would vote no.
Was he you already know, Mandalorian?
I don't believe so.
I don't think so either. Okay.
All right, so are we no's all around?
Yeah, the guy had done more than just be in Vader's suit, but
yeah.
All right, so we will say no to Mr. Bullock. How about Chad Stewart, singer and musician from Chad and Jeremy? And you know what their big hit is? Spring singing in the summer.
Oh, the summer song.
Spring swaying in the summer.
Oh, the summer song.
Showing off their silver leaves as we walked by.
My mom used to have that 45.
That is a great song. I love that.
That is
song.
a great song.
What I remembered them for the most was they did an episode of the Dick Van Dyke Show where they were a British duo, and the fans were trying to tear them apart, and they were supposed to appear on the Alan Brady Show.
Are the Red Coats in here? No. Were they ever in here?
They were here. They're gone. They were here yesterday.
I'm breathing their air. I'm breathing their air.
And they guest starred on a Batman episode.
And at Gotham City Town Hall on the other side of town, the joint is really jumping.
And now, here they are, the music world's dynamic duo, Chad and Jeremy.
So absolutely, I would give Chad.
I would say yes too. Bob, Scott, Gary, are you guys yes?
Yeah.
Chad. All right, so we will get Mr. Stewart in. How about Kevin Green, NFL Hall of Famer, Steelers, Rams? He was also a wrestler for a little while, wasn't he?
I always thought he kind of looked like he could be Hulk Hogan's brother.
They look very
Panther.
similar. They also had mullets and everything.
Played for the Panther.
I would say yes on him.
Yeah, I agree.
Absolutely.
All right, Katie Oslin, another country singer. She did 80s Ladies and Do Ya. She was a Grammy winner. Kind of a one-hit wonder, right?
Huge. She was huge for a couple, 2 or 3 years.
I immediately recognized the name, remember her being huge at the time, had some crossover hits. I would vote yes, but I would understand not a long career.
There were a lot of other singers who wanted to sing with her.
She was a lot older than I would have thought.
I liked her as the Scarlet Witch.
That's an Olsen in it. All right, so are we yeses for KT Oslin?
Yeah, sure.
Yes.
I'm giving
All right.
KT a yes.
Here's another one that might need an exemption. How about John Fletcher? He was a rapper for the group Houdini, which was big in the 80s. I would say yes, because I like Houdini. They have a couple of good hits. You never heard of Friends? How many of us have them? Friends, once we can depend on. Friends, how many of us have them? Friends, once we can depend on.
Penn and Teller were really influenced by them, correct?
Yeah, I think they based their whole magical act on the rap group Houdini.
I say no.
Never heard of
Bob,
them.
Gary, Scott, you guys know?
I've heard of them.
I know them. Also, Freaks Come Out at Night.
Yeah, freaks come out at night. Freaks come out at night. Freaks come out. Freaks come out at night. Freaks come out at night. Freaks come out.
I had to Google it real quick to be sure I wasn't missing anything. There's just a couple, though.
Yeah, they don't have that many hits. You know what? I'm not going to use an exemption. I'm going to say no. How about, and this one I think only Luis Perez Garcia would vote for, Frankie Randall, who was a boxer.
Did he go to Hollywood?
Frankie goes to Hollywood.
Relax.
Don't do it when you want to come. Relax. Don't do it when you want to come. The only reason I put him in is because he was the first person to beat Julio Cesar Chavez when Julio Cesar Chavez was 89-0-1, which I think is a pretty significant deal.
In favor of the winner and new champion, Frankie, the Surgeon Randall.
A disconsolate Julio Cesar Chavez suffering his first loss ever. And the dream for Frankie the Surgeon Randall now becomes a reality.
Who was the tie to?
Pernell Whitaker. And that fight I
Sweet
actually
Pea?
went to. Yeah, that was in San Antonio at the Alamo Dome. I was actually at that fight.
Was it a bad draw? Should they have given him the win?
No, actually, Whitaker probably won. That was actually a bad draw.
The decision is a majority decision draw.
A draw, and you can see the reaction of Sweet Pea Whitaker. He can't believe it, and frankly, I can't either.
I think the only reason they gave it to him is because there would have been a riot if Whitaker had actually won the decision.
So are you saying that the San Antonio crowd was heavily slanted toward Julio Cesar Chavez?
I am going to go out on a limb and say that the crowd was very pro Chavez that night. I'm not going to fight too hard, but I thought that accomplishment was pretty significant.
Let me ask you this. Is Buster Douglas going to count when he dies?
He's not.
Yes, he will definitely
No,
count.
no.
He's the author of the greatest upset in boxing history. I will use an exemption on Buster
Then you'll
Douglas
have
if I
to,
have
because
to. All right, how about Casey Jones, NBA Hall of Famer, coached the Celtics during their 80s run. Pretty significant there, right?
As a player and as a coach. Very much so.
Also, I believe he led the Sunshine Band for a while, too.
Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your booty.
Da-na-na, da-na-na-na-na.
Shake, shake, shake. Shake, shake, shake. Shake your booty. Shake your booty.
All right, so Casey and the Sunshine Band, they are in, right?
He is in. Casey Jones.
Bob,
and
you're
he
yes.
was driving that train high on cocaine.
Yes, high on cocaine.
Driving that train, high on cocaine. Casey Jones watch your speed.
Now, this one I was not familiar with, but the outpouring on social media made it seem like he was a big deal. Brody Lee, American professional wrestler.
Bruiser Brody Lee?
No, not Bruiser Brody. He died a long time ago, dude.
I was not familiar with Mr. Lee, so...
It says here he wrestled under Luke Harper. Does that make a difference?
No, because he also wrestled under Brody Lee.
I do not recognize him. I'm looking at the picture.
All right, so nobody else is going to be a yes for him. The only reason I put him on here is because it seemed like people were making a big deal about him, like on Twitter and Facebook.
Maybe a couple of the guys that follow wrestling really closely.
All right, so we'll say no
Both of
to
them.
Mr. Lee.
Exactly.
Now, this one I put in just because I'm a P1 of this show, so I knew who this was, but I'm thinking not everybody else is going to know him. Nick McGlashan, he was on Deadliest Catch. He was on Wild Bill's boat, the Summer Bay. I was very familiar with him because I've seen just about every episode of Deadliest Catch, but I was not sure if anybody else was a P1 of that show.
When it
SIG
comes
or
to
GTFO?
Yes, SIG or GTFO.
All right, we'll say no to Nick. How about Phil Niekro?
He was the master of the most uncontrollable pitch baseball has ever seen. An offering so confusing that its name, the knuckleball, is actually a misnomer. Phil Niekro dug his fingernails into the baseball seams and carved out a legend, eventually earning a plaque in Cooperstown. He won 121 games after turning 40. And retired with 318 victories over the course of 5,404 innings, the fourth most all time, and the most of any pitcher whose career started in the live ball era. Phil Niekro was elected to the Hall of Fame in 1997.
Hall of Famer, Braves, Yankees, Cleveland Indians. Pretty big deal, right?
Yeah, I would vote yes.
Yeah, he's a yes.
I've heard the name.
All right, so we will say yes. Now, this one, I have been saving my exemption. How about Shabba-Doo?
No.
Break dancer and actor in the greatness of Breakin' and Breakin' 2. He was
Yabba Dabba
Ozone.
They're not gonna stop us now.
Who's next?
Ozone! Street dancer!
I thought Samuel L. Jackson was Frozone.
I am going to use my exemption right here because Breakin' is one of my favorite movies of all time.
I'm using my veto.
Was he also,
there's no veto.
Was he also in Electric Boogaloo?
He was. He was in both Breakin' movies.
Okay, if he was in
Breakin'
both,
2,
I'll count him.
Electric Boogaloo.
Those movies are greatness. Those are some of my favorite all-time movies. No vetoes allowed. The next one was the subject of a film played by Morgan Freeman. How about Joe Louis Clark from Lean on Me? They used to call me Crazy Joe, and now they can call me Batman.
What the hell is the bat for? They used to call me Crazy Joe. Well, now they can call me Batman.
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yes. His story was highly fictionalized in the movie. He did change a lot of people's lives. Stuff he does or did back then would probably be very illegal now.
What, chaining the doors?
Yeah, chaining the doors.
All right, so we will say yes to Crazy Joe Louis Clark. How about Pierre Cardin, French-Italian fashion designer? I was not familiar with this guy, but apparently he's a big deal in fashion.
No, you wear it well. Pierre Cardin.
Pierre Cardin, man's cologne.
Levi or nothing.
All right, so Jesse, have you heard of Mr. Cardin?
Yes, and I would have voted yes, but not enough to do an exception.
I'm with Jesse. It's not like I wear that stuff or anything, but that's a huge name.
I would count him too. I think Scott may be the only no. All right, and the last one, rounding out the year. How about Dawn Wells?
Yes.
Marianne from Gilligan's Island.
The Professor and Marianne here on Gilligan's Island.
She was also
Most
in Return to Boggy Creek, which I know is very near and dear to Scott's heart.
Mine
Anything
too.
Boggy
Yes.
Creek related.
Mine too.
All right, so I think that one's an automatic. Let's hear the honorable mentions.
I have 3. Alto Reed. Bob knows who Alto Reed is.
I do, and I saw him the other day, and I absolutely would not vote him in specifically for what he did.
I don't even know who that is. Who is Alto Reed?
Okay, dude.
Alto Reed. You know who Alto Reed is.
You know the
What?
opening sax riff and Turn the Page?
Turn the
That
page,
effing
man.
kick to the nads. Whatever that is.
He's
such a
part of the
great
Silver Bullet Band. He
song.
played the saxophone, and Bob Seger is awesome, and Bob can STFU.
Bob Seger is awesome, but that's his worst song.
you STFU.
And the other reason he shouldn't count is that stupid fake name, Alto Reed. Oh, he's a sax player. Hey, I'm a drummer. My name's Drumstick.
In the spirit of Clarence Clemens, the big man, I'm voting for him. Yes.
All right, so he's a saxophone player for the Bob Seger band. Was he on Shakedown? Because that's Bob Seger's only good
sax
song.
on Shakedown. It was all synthed up.
Then I'm going to say no then. That's Bob Seger's only good song.
Shakedown, breakdown, take down. Everybody wants into the crowd alive. Break down, take down. You're busted.
He's got like 30.
It sounds like Alto Reed has got enough, right, Gary? Are you a yes?
The saxophonist, that's borderline, but I happen to be a big Bob Seger fan, so yes.
All right, so we will count Alto Reed.
Leslie West,
Mountain.
guitarist of Mountain.
Mississippi
The
Queen.
greatness of Mississippi Queen.
Know what I mean?
Yes.
Mississippi Queen.
Greatness of-
Know what I mean?
Jesse,
Leslie
are you
West.
familiar?
No, I'm not.
I am not either, but I do know that song.
I didn't know until he died that his last name was really Weinstein.
No wonder he
Did you
changed
change
it.
it?
So, Bob, are you a yes for Mr. West?
Yeah, I'll count Mountain.
Gary, you're a yes?
Borderline again, but yeah, I'll say yes.
All right, so we will say
I have
yes
one
to
more.
Leslie. All right.
The greatness of Ned Wynn, character actor. If you ever saw any of the beach movies,
Beach
Ned
Blanket
Wynn was in
Bingo?
Beach, oh yeah, Bikini Beach, Pajama Beach Party, Beach Blanket
Underrated.
Bingo, How to Stuff a Wild Bikini.
So he's the poor man's Frankie Avalon and Annette Funicello?
No. He's always like the old crusty dude with the big mustache, you know.
Oh, the one trying to shut the party down?
Oh yeah, that's him. He's always that guy.
I'm not
You see his
familiar.
picture, you'd know him.
Scott, is he the guy that goes, yes?
Excuse me, sir. Yes.
Isn't there some mustache guy that always does that bit?
He did have a big mustache. I don't remember him doing the
Yes.
No. Yes.
All right, so
Jesse, you know who he
familiar
is,
with
right?
Ned Wynn?
No, I do not. I'm looking at him. I kind of vaguely recognize him, but not enough.
So you'd be a no.
Yeah.
Bob?
Nah, let the tide take him out.
Hey, wait a minute. You know what? I haven't used an exemption yet. I'm
Mr.
going to
Wynn?
use my exemption on Ned Wynn. Yes.
Nice.
Okay, there you go. I love that.
Greatness of Ned Wynn.
Jesse, did you have Winnie?
John Le Carre.
Oh, the novelist?
Yeah. Tinker Tailor Spy, the spy who came in from the cold. Yeah,
he's huge. I'll count him.
Yeah, he's a massive writer.
All right, so that concludes our list. So with all of our honorary mentions,
Yes.
we end up with exactly 40 yeses, which means
Jesse
yes,
wins both showcases.
Yes.
Because he hit the number right on the head.
Every time we do these exemptions, I get screwed. We added like 3 or 4 exemptions. That would have been Bob would have been over, and I would have had it.
And the reality is they were all legitimate people that, we all agreed should be on there. So very nice. All right. So Junior, you narrowed it down to 10 people, which is tough to do in 2020. We have lost a lot of great people.
We're probably forgetting a lot of the names that happened early in the year. So I tried to capture those as best I could. And I actually have 12 total names to look at. And then we can kind of debate who is actually the biggest death of the year.
Okay.
We have Kobe Bryant. We have Kirk Douglas. We have Don Shula. We have Little Richard.
I'd forgotten Don Shula. Wow.
We have Carl Reiner. We have Regis. Bob, do you want to give us some...
Are you ready? Are you ready for this? I'm dead. Already, I'm dead.
Why is he always singing a 2 Unlimited song? Are you ready? Are you ready for this? Are you ready for this? We have Chadwick Boseman. We have Ruth Bader Ginsburg. We have Eddie Van Halen.
Oh,
we have Sean Connery. We have Trebek. And I threw in Diego Maradona just because internationally that might be
No,
the
I
biggest name.
think that's as big as Kobe considering the sport. Man.
I don't even want to do this.
So tough. There's 4 that I'd put at the top, period. That's it. Eddie Van Halen,
Yes.
Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Sean Connery, Carl Reiner.
Wow.
So just quickly, Sean Connery, Kirk Douglas.
I would go Connery.
Man, I would probably do Douglas because of the length of his career and the amount
Douglas
of
was
movies.
one of my favorite actors.
He broke the blacklist.
I kind of feel like he got surpassed by his son.
You know, he was asked once, "Are you jealous? Does it bother you that you've never won an Oscar and your son has?" And he said, "My son is me. When he wins an Oscar, I win an Oscar." It's hard to argue against Sean Connery. I just would say I would probably vote Douglas.
I would go Connery.
I am not going to argue.
Connery just had more big films.
He's a Bond.
I got one of Kirk Douglas's movies for Christmas. It's called Lonely Are the Brave, and it was Kirk's favorite movie that he ever did.
Okay, so Sean Connery from Hollywood. Tough.
Chadwick Boseman is big because of how early he was in his career when he died.
And recency bias there.
Yeah.
And also hit per film. I mean, he had a high batting average. I think Carl Reiner for TV.
Well, now, what about Regis and Trebek? Do they count in the TV realm? Or are they
so that would be really tough to say. I would pick Reiner because of the legacy, but you certainly could not.
Oh, yes.
And I would pick Trebek over Regis. But boy, when you think about Regis, the talk show and Who Wants to Be a Millionaire, that's iconic.
Kobe, Maradona, and Shula, I think, would be for sports. And I think I'd have to go Kobe.
I would pick Kobe, too. Kobe dying at his age and the tragedy. I mean, Don Shula had a long, wonderful life. The distance between the perfect season and the years he coached the Dolphins gives a little bit less glow.
And then for music, you probably have to go
Eddie Van
Halen versus Little Richard. From a personal standpoint, I'd have to go Eddie Van Halen.
Yeah.
Although from a legacy standpoint, it probably is Little Richard.
We had, Kenny Rogers. We lost a lot of great musicians this year. I would say Little Richard because he is one of the founders of rock and roll. But it's hard to argue against the greatness of Eddie Van Halen.
And I would take Van Halen.
I would put Eddie Van Halen over Little Richard. And I love Little Richard. I mean, I do. I've got 3 of his LPs. I would put Eddie Van Halen over Little Richard for the sheer fact that I think Little Richard, to a certain extent, was kind of a one-trick pony. He did his bit, and it was the same almost every time. You look at Eddie Van Halen in 40 years, and I think that he will still be eclipsing what Little Richard did.
Eddie's influence on rock and roll is every bit as big, if not bigger, than Little Richard's.
I'm not going to argue if, as a group, we say Eddie Van Halen because that's a huge loss.
I would say if we're going to do it based on the medium that they worked in, Kobe for sports, Sean Connery for film, Carl Reiner for TV, and Eddie Van Halen for music.
I could live with that.
I'm good with that.
And RBG for politics.
Yes.
That would go. For just pure volume, this has to be one of the worst years ever in celebrity death, right?
Absolutely. I think this spreadsheet has eclipsed any of the other spreadsheets I've put together, and the names on this list are much, much bigger. I think the only year that might rival this a little bit is, I think, the 2016 year when we lost David Bowie and Prince. A lot of those names were huge too.
It also seems like a disproportionate number of them were country music.
I was thinking the same thing.
And someone was talking today, Kobe's death almost feels like 2 years ago because it happened before the COVID lockdown. Great list, Junior, as always. If someone wants to reach us, how can they, Junior?
They can reach out to us on Twitter at How Many Podcasts. They can email us, howmanypodcasts@gmail.com. You can reach out to us on our YouTube channel. Just search for the How Many Podcasts. We also have a Facebook page you can reach out to us on. Lots of different ways to tell us how much we suck.
Bob, anyone wants to reach you, how can they?
At Lukewarm Tallboy on Twitter and Instagram.
Gary?
At travel_cowboy on Twitter.
Scott?
Scott_Matula on the Twitter.
I am at Jesse Jackson DFW. Junior?
Mexican_Junior on Twitter.
Thank you, everyone. We appreciate it, and we will talk to you soon.
See you at the crossroads.